What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and today we're going to be breaking down some of Calvin Ridley's off-season route running. This is some of the work he's been putting in, just some one-on-one clips where you guys can learn how to run this blaze out, something you guys can do to run a fade, and something you guys can use to work on like a post-dig concept or just a dig concept, okay? And guys, if you're a receiver and you want to get faster, you want to be a more explosive athlete and develop that in the weight room, check out that link in the description that says Speed Workout Plan. You get 28 days of full 8 to 10 exercises, a full workout plan for a whole month. Check out that link in the description. Hope to get you guys signed up on that soon. It says Speed Workout Plan. Let's get started. So number one here, we're going to talk about this blaze out. So what a blaze out is more commonly known as like maybe a post out. That's what some people call it, right? But it's going to be called a blaze out. So a couple of different names for it. So the main thing I want to talk about is his move off the line here, how he's able to set him up inside, break back out, sell this route with his eyes, with his hips, with his shoulders, and then break it to the out. So we're going to watch this thing full speed. So he gives him a 1-2 double up release, 2 steps to the inside, work to restack, sell posts, and then get out of this thing least amount of steps possible. So I know that happened quick, and this is something that you guys have to do against man coverage. When you guys understand that you got a longer developing route against man coverage, we got to make sure that we come up with something quick, right? We got to come up with something fast off the line. We got to make my decision. I got to be fast into this route. So he's going to go with this 1-2 move, right? So the release that we want to take, he takes like an inside release for about 2 steps, and he breaks it back outside, but it's really just to get his hips turned. But when we go with a double up off the line of scrimmage, where I just essentially go right then left, I want to step in the direction that I want to go first. So you see how it really goes here. 1, he steps here, his first steps to the inside, and now his second step is here. And you see how he's stepping outside of this DB's frame, right? You want to think of it like lanes, right? You're driving, you get the left lane, you get the middle lane, and then you get the right lane, right? His first step was in this middle lane, second step was in this far left lane. And again, you see how he commits his hips and shoulders with a little bit of a violent like head shoulder lean, right? That sells like he's just going to go straight off of this speed release and just go here, push to the outside. He catches himself. You see how he's got a great shin angle, 45-degree angle, and he keeps his toes forward. What a lot of people do on this is they'll reach. They open up that toe and they'll turn their hips inside, right? We want to throw my hip, right? You want to be able to throw your hip out like you're working a crossover in basketball. You just hit him with a right, left, and you step outside of his frame. I cannot stress that enough. Because when you step outside of his frame, that's what's going to get him to go there. Because simply why? Because he's just not there. That's what gets him to open up his hips. Now he could come back to the inside, right? So he goes here, 1, 2, 3, breaks off at that third step, works back outside, gets his DB to spin around, and now we work to restack, right? So now, when I'm in a position to restack this DB, I want to make sure that I got to give him a move at the top of the route. I can't just run up into this route, right? So what does he do? This blaze out here. He goes to this post for 3 steps. He breaks here, 1, 2, 3, and he snaps it off on that third step. Now, this is a very hard break to get out of when you're on a 45 and then you're going back to a 90, right? So it's very important that I drop my hips, and you see again how he's selling it with his hips and selling it with his eyes. A disciplined DB is going to be looking where? He's going to be looking at my hips, right? We're not trying to beat an undisciplined DB. A lot of people think I just got to peek back if I'm doing a post out, post corner, corner post, out and up, whatever it is. They think I just got to look. No, you got to commit your hips and you got to commit your shoulders to the post, because that's what will draw this guy in. Then he snaps it off on that third step. And again, that step has got to be violent. You got to snap down. That's your trigger step. Then your second step has got to pivot, and you see how good of a pad level he has. His chest is going forward the entire time, so he can get out of it on his third step, as you can see right here. And we got to continue to get separation, right? Because we got separation here, but I don't want to lose it. So I got to continue to pump my arms and accelerate out of this break. That's a great route here by Calvin Ridley. Let's watch it again one more time. So 1-2, 1-2, 3, break it back to the outside, restack, snap this thing off, get out of this break in 3 steps. Great route. So now we're going to talk about this fade variation here with a little bit of a hesitation, and then why he decided to go with this release, or why you guys can go with this release. Okay, so now he comes off the line, right? DB's like almost head up, a little bit inside leverage, right? So if I got to run a fade, I don't want to just go run into this. This is something that you see a lot of people do. And then this DB's allowed to get hands on you. He'll probably jam with his left arm and then force you into that sideline, right? So what does he do? He works this slide release. Now, when we do this slide release, I want you to see the range that he's in, or maybe this like hesitation slide, not so much like a slide 1, 2, 3 or a slide 1, 2 that you work, but you see the range that he's in here. He's making this DB make a decision. If he's going to come up and press and get physical, he's going to have to come at him, right? And then I got to plan for my hands. I just got to make sure I see the threat and I get off. Or he can try to slide with me, be disciplined, watch my hips, watch my number, right? So when we slide, we kind of get him to stop his feet. And now this DB plays it well. We slide, but again, let's say one time here I slide and I got to run a slant. right? Let's say I just slide right now and then I just cut off of that leg. I cut off my left leg. You see how much I get his hips to turn, right? So that's how that slide variation can vary. That's how you can use that to set up a bunch of different things, right? But instead we just give a little patient skip and then I burst upfield. Now he gives him this little hesitation move here because again, this DB does not have hands, right? When he doesn't have hands, he's not going to be able to break where we're at. Now this DB should... This is something that I think a DB coach would probably say that he should know where he's at on the field, right? And I agree with that because he's only about 5 yards, right? So he's kind of giving this little stutter right here. He might be running a hitch, but again, in man coverage, I mean, I'll take the 5-yard hitch depending on the situation, right? Maybe if it's like 2nd and short or maybe 3rd and 1, maybe not. But like if it's like a 1st and 10 scenario and we're going man coverage, I'll take the 5-yard hitch, right? Let's let him take it. So when he kind of stops his feet and gives that little hesitation, DB needs to know where he's at on that field, right? I know I'm at 5 yards. Okay, I'm going to keep this thing in front of me. I probably shouldn't break down. I should probably stay over the top. But then Ridley gets him to kind of stop his feet. When we get a DB to stop his feet, and we know where we're going and we could go from 0 to 100, that's what's going to be able to get us some space, right? So something I teach, and this is another variation of it, something I teach with my guys is we'll go with this like hesitation release and then we'll take off, but we don't give this little skip until we get to about 10 to 12 yards, right? And I try to be a little bit more I would say violent. I'm more of a fan of the stutter than necessarily the skip, but the skip and a little hesitation can work as well. It's all about having different things in your arsenal, right? So when we give this little skip, it's just to get his feet to stop. And when we get his feet to stop, I can keep my head down, worry about pumping my arms and getting downfield. And you see how he's not looking for this ball. You see how he keeps his head down. He's not looking till he knows I got him by about a step or two, because that quarterback will throw you open. He will put a good ball. He'll put it with air, and he'll let you go run this thing down. Okay, let's watch this thing full speed one more time. So he gives a little slide, take off, a little hesitation, get his feet to stop, kick up into second gear, keep my head down, don't look until I got him by about 2-3 steps. All right, so on this next clip here, what we're going to be looking at is this dive release and then this rocker step on a dig, right? Now, this is something that I think is very important, and I think this isn't as realistic as what you're going to see in a game in terms of how the DB plays this thing, because if you're running one-on-ones, and you're a DB, you're probably not very threatened by a drag coming across your face. It's probably not something that you're going to worry about, because let's say Ridley just wants to run a drag across his face. Okay, like fine, this is one-on-ones. Like it's not a big deal. Like one-on-ones, you're not going to be normally running a drag, right? So that's the thing about one-on-ones. Sometimes it can get a little non-realistic, but again, this is a great release. And in a game time scenario, I think this is really going to get him a lot of space, right? So what a dive release is the same as a diamond, where you take 3 steps to the outside. He's just doing 2 steps, crossing this DB's face here to try to get him to turn his hips and open up the gate, right? So that's the goal of this. So when he comes off the line here, he goes 1, 2. Right? Now, you see this DB doesn't fully turn his hips and fully commit. Now, Ridley, in a way, kind of goes a little bit flat here. I think if he maybe breaks this thing up a little bit more 45-ish, just a little bit, I don't think that's going to make a huge difference, but I think that could maybe get this DB to turn his hips a little bit. But when we go flat, and we're just working maybe here flat like 90 degrees on this thing, that's not really selling like I'm running a drag, right? A drag's just going to be straight across right here. Maybe a 1-step slant is going to be more at a 45-degree angle. So I think that will serve to get this DB to turn his hips a little bit more, right? But because we go flat, he could kind of just shuffle with us and watch those hips. But you see when Ridley works this dive release, it's not 2 choppy steps or 3 choppy steps. He's actually running. His first step is full in stride. Second step's in stride. He just put the brakes on, and that's what gets this guy to maybe turn his hips or just gets him to lean to the inside a little bit, right? When he's a little bit more threatened by a drag, I think that will get a little bit more separation for you off the line. And when we maybe take this thing up on more of a 45, and I know that's tough because it's based on DB alignment, right? If he's got a little bit more cushion, if we got a little bit more space to work, we can take it more on a 45, but he's a little bit heavier pressed up on us. Maybe I don't want to use this release, or maybe I take it a little bit flatter. It really depends. Again, it kind of depends on the feel of the DB. It kind of depends on how the DB is going to be playing us. But nonetheless, he breaks up field. Now, when we're at a situation where we're going hip to hip with a guy, and I got to run a dig or I got to run a post or whatever, I got to be prepared to give him a move at the top of the route, right? So you see how Ridley, he goes with this rocker step. Now, what a rocker step is, where you just go 1, 2. It's like that double up release out the line, except it's at the top of the route. So you're going to step first in the direction that you're going. selling. So you see he steps with the right leg here, one, and you see how he's throwing his head and shoulders, then he steps in that direction too, selling like he's breaking off this leg going corner, right? Because who wouldn't want to do a dive, release, and run a corner? You go 1-2, you break up to the outside, you just go to the corner, right? But instead, he breaks it off on a post or on a dig, right? So he sticks here, throws his head and shoulders. That's where that DB is going to be looking, right? Disciplined DB is going to be watching those hips, and then we get him to lean to the outside. I break it off. Now, when I'm in this situation right here, I got to make sure I continue to pump my arms. I get hands off of me, and I continue to accelerate out because it is a race to this point. DB was not in a horrible position to make this play, right? But the acceleration, right? If we get him to hesitate even a little bit, and I accelerate out of my break, that's what will get me the most separation, right? So let's watch this thing full speed one more time. 1-2, get him to turn those hips. Let's work back over the top. 1-2, accelerate out, pump my arms, and run to this ball. It's a great route here by Ridley. All right, guys, I really want to thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, if you're a receiver and you want to get a little bit faster, a little bit more explosive, check out that link in the description. And if you guys have any questions or any suggestions on who you'd like to see me break down next, you leave those in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'll see you guys next time.